I was 23 when I did that first lecture and I threw up. I was just, I was in a terrible state. So my area is what we would officially call organisational behaviour. So it's understanding how organisations think, feel and do. And those are, when we say that, it makes it sound like organisations are able to think, feel and do for themselves, but we all know that they're made up of people. And so essentially my teaching is around understanding how people work in those organisations, how we can help them and enable them to work better, how the organisations themselves can work better, become healthier for their employees, but also thinking about the wider environment in which they operate, the external environment and the things that are going on in the world all the time that will impact the way in which that organisation and the people within it behave. My father was a lecturer and my mum was a teacher, so I kind of was going to go that, you know, that was on the cards. And so I literally finished my master's dissertation on the Friday and I started work in Southampton on the Monday, and I was doing a mass lecture to 300 students, and I'd never done anything like that in my life before. I was 23 when I did that first lecture, and I think it was the Monday afternoon. At least I had the morning to kind of prepare for it, and I threw up. I was just, I was in a terrible state. I'd never done anything on that scale before. I just felt awful. And then when I stood up there in front of the students, I could feel as I was going along that, oh my gosh, I'm actually quite enjoying this. And by the end, I had such a buzz from it. It was brilliant. I just hit my dream job. I came out of there and I thought, oh, I have to do that again. I have to do that again. That was just great fun. And so I have continued to do that ever since. No, I think I've faced that quite a lot in my career, and I don't really fit the mould of what people would assume that a lecturer might be. I think that they might think that you'd have like a tweed jacket with sort of like leather elbow pads and be quite sort of old-fashioned and stuff, and I certainly am not that person at all. I remember years ago meeting somebody else who was an external examiner, and he said, oh, you've got tattoos, so have I. And he said, have you heard of Acts with Tats? And I never heard of this before. And apparently it's a group of academics with tattoos, and it's a thing, and I'd never heard of it before, but it's a kind of, I was told I might not be able to get a job doing what I'm doing with a tattoo. I think environments have changed quite a lot since then, and I love my tattoos, and I think that hopefully we're getting beyond that and understanding that it's about the person, not what they look like.
I did find it very interesting that you have tattoos on your hand, no less.
Yeah.
Exactly what your parents tell you not to do.
Don't have anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One area that we're focusing on a lot within the university now, or particularly within the business school, is what we call decolonizing the curriculum. So we are looking at ways in which we can change the way in which we communicate with students in terms of research and studies that have been done, so that they are less westernized, less, well, I'm going to say it, white, stale and male. There's so much going on in the world that is so positive and creative around making a difference, and enhancing experiences for people, and we have been focused too much on the Western, European, American ideologies, and that has to change, and we are working very hard to change that narrative, to broaden it out. I am a bit of a gym bunny and I love to run. I run quite a lot. So I recently, well in fact I do it every year, got something called the Kilomathon. Instead of running 26.2 miles, you run 26.2 kilometres, which believe me is far more achievable. And I really like, I like to challenge myself with running. I don't like to over-challenge myself with running though, is that I like it because it's good for my head and good for my body, but I don't want to, I'm getting to an age now where I don't want to do something that puts too much pressure on the old bones, so that I can keep doing what I like doing. The best thing about my job is working with students. It always has been. I just love working with students and seeing them grow and be inspired and enthused as they go through their student journey. Being kind to ourselves and each other. That's the first thing that just comes into my head. I think if we took more time to be kind to ourselves, I think actually it would help us be more kind to others too. This sounds really sad. I couldn't live without crisps. Amazing. I was late to the Edinburgh party. I really was, and I just think it's one of the best places in the world to be. It's a work in progress because it is changing and evolving and recognising that it needs to change and evolve as society is, and the students that are coming to us now are very different from the students of 20, 30 years ago, and the university is recognising that, which is why I would say it's a very positive work in progress. Well, the psychological well-being course that I developed with the student development team within the business school is very much about helping students to help themselves, to be kind to themselves, to recognise stress and burnout and how to deal with those things. And I think that I've had to learn to do those things myself, and I'm not there yet at all, but I think it has had a profound effect on me. But the other thing is the decolonizing the curriculum. Once the blinkers are off and you realise that there are so many other concepts and ideas that are out there that are not just the very traditional views, you can't put the blinkers back on. And that has really changed the way I put together all my teaching now.